going on, guys? How we doing? All right.
Can you talk about the offensive draft picks you guys had starting to part and going through the next
Yeah. Graham was a huge get for us. Jason had mentioned it. We were hoping that he would fall to us, and we feel really lucky to get him. Just has a ton of diversity to his game. He's played all three real positions in terms of the center, guard, and the tackle position for us. For Duke, excuse me. And then for us, it's like, hey, okay, we just give him competition at multiple spots and see what happens. He's built the way that you kind of want those guys to be built. He's athletic. He's got a mean streak. He plays the game that the way it's supposed to be played. He was very well coached. Comes from a great family. Really excited about seeing kind of where he fits into this whole thing.
Then do you start him at center? I mean, that's one of those positions, that quarterback-center relationship
Yeah.
and all that.
Yeah, we'll give him we'll definitely start him off at center and just see how he handles everything, right? There's a lot of communication and things that can occur from that position with the quarterback and the rest of the unit. We'll see how that communication goes, but we feel confident that he can be able to do some of those things, and then if not, hey, we slide him over to guard and give him a shot there as well.
What do you like about Jalen McMillan?
Yeah, I love J-Mac. He's a true route runner. He's a guy that's wired to separate. Has the ability to work the defense at all three levels. He's can run the option routes, the choice routes, but also has enough long speed to get down the field vertically. He's very quarterback friendly with the way that he gets out of his breaks. He's a hands catcher, and he played in a system and with a group of guys that was extremely competitive, and he has that competitive nature to be able to come in here and compete for early playing time.
Months since getting hired to finally get the guys in the building to start working with how anxious have you been to get these guys and implement and install?
Yeah, it's been great. It was these guys, they're workers. You can tell that there's a real culture in this building that was already set, that's been set. And now for us, it's all the message has been is just how do we get better? How do we take the next step from good to great? And obviously, first and foremost, fixing and getting better in the run game. And these guys have been fully bought in. They've been great energy, really communicative out on the field, really just engaged. It's been an absolute pleasure working with these guys so far.
And speaking of running game, Bucky Irving.
Yeah.
Talk about what you like about his skill set.
Yeah, Bucky's he's pretty dynamic where he gives us the ability in the run and pass game, right, the screen game, and then also from a special team standpoint and some of the return game as well. But Bucky's a guy that I'm actually pretty close with the OC out at Oregon, Will, and he told me he was his favorite player that he's ever coached, and somebody that's just team first, will do anything and everything he's asked to do. From Chicago, tough kid, loved him when he came up on his visit. Just the type of kid that I think will fit in really well in this building. And the nice thing I like about Bucky is he gets to his top speeds early. Like when he accepts the handoff, he bursts and accelerates through the hole and can make people miss in space.
Along those lines, is that something that you're kind of wanting to see Rashad White do a little bit more of? He's known as to be a patient runner,
Yeah.
Sometimes too patient. Perhaps.
I mean, he has taken every detail that we've coached throughout this offseason and applied it. That is something that we've worked on and that we've been communicating to him and really to all the backs is just we are fast to and fast through. And we receive the handoff. We want to be shot out of a cannon with obviously having vision and patience goes along with it. That's not something I need to really coach. But he has been fantastic when it comes to the tracks, his responsibility, the landmark, and being shot out of a cannon in some of the run game that we have done so far in this phase.
Just on picks, I know he's a lock to make the roster, but looks like you guys got a good one with Elijah Klein. Talk about his fit. Will he compete at guard? Where do you see his fit on the roster?
Yeah, start off at guard. Tough, competitive, mean. Just the type of kid, type of guy that we need in that room as well. I mean, he's going to fit in great with those guys. He was jacked up when he got the call to be able to come out here, and I just think that with the group of guys that we have in there already and the things that we're trying to implement in terms of the physicality and the run game, playing long in the pass pro, I think he'll fit in great.
With getting his first look at center, left guard seems fairly wide open. How do you see that competition setting up?
Yeah, I think that, you give some of those guys, you give Graham and Hainsey an opportunity to compete at the center position. You give a bunch of guys really the opt to compete at guard. I mean, we have, I think, done a great job this offseason with some of the additions that we've gotten in both in the free agency and in the draft. Opetta's done a phenomenal job. All those guys have competed. They're pros. Opetta comes from a very well-trained O-line coach, and you can see it. You can see that these guys are eager to compete, and they also fit in really well with the room.
You mentioned wanting to get maybe a move tight end in there. You got one in Devin.
Yeah.
Just talk about him, how you can use him in the passing game.
Man, I mean, what did he run at the combine? 4.47, one of the high, best times from a tight end in a while, right? And when you get somebody like that, there's something in his body, and you did see it show up at UW, good amount. Now it's like, okay, how do we fit him in, right? Does he play more F? Get him off the ball, try to get him in more of those pass game situations, matchups on linebackers, safeties, things of that nature, while also still developing him as a blocker and be able to do some of the things at the point of attack that we will ask him to do at some point. I'm excited to see him run around. I mean, that speed you can't really coach, especially at that position. And now, okay, how does he change direction? Does he have wiggle? Does he have the ability to separate? Those are the things that we're excited to see.
Last year, Baker came in and he was like his 14 and 18 months or whatever. He was in a competition
Right.
with Kyle Trask. You're always in a competition. But what have you seen from him coming back? He's got a lot to learn, but there's some carryover. But just how has he been?
Just a calm confidence, I think. He's, the atmosphere that we want to be able to establish in the meeting rooms is one of the players being the drivers of it. And yes, we are installing and teaching a new offense, but he knows a lot of these things already. He's heard them, he's repped them, and so him just taking it over, and he has done a great job in the meeting room setting of talking to some of the guys. Hey man, make sure you're here, and that's what we're trying to establish. And the confidence of throwing the football, I think, has been impressive thus far. I mean, we haven't had a ton of balls hit the ground, and he's throwing it with a lot of confidence right now.
A while since we've had a chance to talk to you. I think it was when Baker
Yeah.
re-signed his deal. What have you learned about this team since we last saw you, since you've had a chance to kind of get your hands on the guy a little more and be in meetings with them?
Pros. This group, they work. They come to work. They are on time. They're sitting up in their chairs. They're paying attention. They give you verbal and nonverbal communication and feedback. I think our staff has done a great job of getting their boots on the ground and really getting into these guys. And we talked about 3 better, 3 best, things that, with each player, what we need to see them improve on, what they did well. We really kind of dove into the personnel when they first got back here and tried to build and establish relationships. And these guys, when they get out on the grass, man, and the whistle blows, these guys go to work. And they have fun. It's a lighthearted way, but you can feel that there's a true feeling like these guys want to get better. They want to get better. They want more. And that's what we're trying to give them right now.
This team has finished last in the league in rushing the last 2 years. What have you kind of looking over the tape seen as the biggest thing that's held back?
Some diversity in terms of giving these guys different ways of hitting blocks, whether it's the mid zone, the wide zone, the tight zone, duo, gap with pullers, perimeter runs. Defenses are too good to say that we're just going to line up and run a few runs. We have to give these guys a toolbox, and also that goes along with giving them multiple plays in the huddle, and that might be 2, it might be 3 options to be able to get to in terms of what the defense is presenting. Well, let's change the math and run away from numbers or gain the numbers back in our favor. And if we get man coverage, well, let's get to a man beater. And those are things that it ultimately puts a lot more on the guys, but I think they were ready for it.
Does that leave it up to Baker to make the option call?
Yeah. So it's okay, you got to run with an alert to a pass. And it's like, okay, we want to run to the right. Well, they got a lot of guys over there. Let's run over here. And okay, they play man coverage. Well, let's try to beat them. And some of those type of things, and give the guys the flexibility and ability to adjust out on the grass, because at the end of the day, I'm not the one playing.
I think it was Jason. I think Todd actually mentioned it too. Talked about getting kind of bigger up the middle to kind of
Yeah.
eliminate the pressures coming from there.
Mhm.
Just having more of a presence there.
Totally.
How much do you think that impacted this team last year, even the last 2 years, not having that Jensen-like presence?
Yeah, I think it can. I saw it affect us in LA in 2019 a little bit, actually, when we actually had Jared's a 6'4" guy and he is length, but we were a little bit thinner inside, and you could feel some of that interior rush start to occur, and that's really when quarterbacks are most uncomfortable. And then especially when you got a quarterback who's borderline 6 foot, he will be ticked at me for saying that, but you've just got to make sure that you're firm in the middle, and that's not just in the pass pro, it's in the run game, and where we have to be able to take care of the first down lineman. We've got to take care of the first level of the defense before we can get to the second. So I think we did address that. That was something that was definitely needed in our opinion, and I thought we did a great job of addressing it, and the guys have done a nice job of putting on weight as well. Guys like Cody and Hainsey, they're trying to put more weight on and get a little bit bigger on the inside. They've done a great job so far.
Speaking of Baker, you were there with him with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Do you notice anything a little bit different now where he is? Is it more confident? He's the guy?
Yeah. You can sense that for sure. He definitely, I mean, there's not many days I don't think Baker wakes up and he doesn't have a chip on his left shoulder. But there is definitely a feeling that this is his team, and it's okay to fail. It's okay. Go out there and let it rip and be yourself every single day, no matter what, because you're going to be the guy, and we believe in you. And I think that's something that ultimately he just hasn't really had the opportunity to have all that often in his career. So you definitely feel a quiet, calming confidence, but he's still the same guy. I mean, he's out there when we get on the grass talking smack and getting after it and just having fun with the guys. And I think that's what ultimately makes him a great leader, is because his best friends are the O-line.
And speaking of the offensive line, when you look at the improvements that you've made in
Yeah.
terms of personnel, you're installing some different things in the run game, you're really not going to be able to see that materialize for a
Right.
couple months until the pads come
Mm-hmm.
on. How much can you gauge now
Yeah.
about the type of improvements that you're searching for, and then how much you just have to wait until the pads come on?
I think we've taken I think we have made some strides, just in terms of just tweaking a few things. I do believe we've made a few strides in terms of what we want it to look like. Now, like you said, how long we sustain that block. Do we break that tackle? Do we, run away from the right pressure? Do we get the right the right audible when the bullets are flying? That definitely remains to be seen. But I do believe that we have made a few strides early on with getting on the right track, and all being 11 being on the same page and communicating on a high level and doing those things that ultimately we want to be able to do. But like you said, who knows what that actually equates to.
It's only phase one, but what's, and it's all voluntary, but what's the attendance been like? And as far as install, where do you think you are? You think you're ahead of the curve for training camp, or where do you think you guys are at?
Attendance has been great. The guys have been really locked in when they've been here. We've had the majority of the guys here the whole time. Mike was here early on the first few days, which I guess was the first time he's truly been here in a long time. So that was great to have him and all the guys on board. And I just think from a volume standpoint, we are ahead. We still have a lot to install. We've gone in increments, but from a volume standpoint of formations, motions, shifts, cans, audibles, run to run, run to pass, run to screen. I mean, we've got a lot in so far, and the guys have handled it. They've handled it really well, so it leads me to believe that they will continue to be able to go on that trajectory as we get into the minicamp and training camp settings.
You talked about Baker's height, but since coming into the league, he's had he's in the top 5 in balls batted down every year. But you look at Joe Burrow and Jared Goff are also up there.
Right.
They're tall. What can you do to kind of cut down on those knockdowns?
Yeah, I dealt with that last year actually a lot at Kentucky, and that comes to a few things: utilizing more jump sets inside or at the line of scrimmage from an offensive line standpoint. So as opposed to catching a defender while utilizing more toolboxes and jump setting defenders a little bit more. While also as a quarterback, using your eyes as a weapon. And so if I know I'm throwing the ball over here, I want to keep my eyes here before I get to there, or vice versa. We say eyes outside to throw inside, eyes inside to throw outside. So using your eyes as a weapon to, man, some of those tip balls, man, they come when you're just staring out there and the guy doesn't get a rush and he throws his hands up. Well, he can't throw his hands up if you're not looking at him. So those are a few things that we've been able to utilize, and I think it all starts with the quarterback understanding the DTA, decision, timing, and accuracy of the play, and the rhythm of what we're trying to play, and getting the ball out on time.
Graham Barton's a smart guy.
Yeah.
You can tell that from talking to him. But what about when it comes to kind of diagnostics, in terms of kind of recognizing just blitzes, the stunts, things like that? Where is he at in terms of that? And how much of that still kind of needs to be developed?
That's going to have to be developed. Just what he sees in the ACC, what he saw on a week-to-week basis is just not the same. Just more so the speed of it, right? Everybody runs a TE twist. It's just going to happen a lot faster here. And when you get a nickel dog, well, those spikes are going to be a lot sharper from the D line and when that nickel pressures. So I think some of those things are going to have to be developed a little bit. Like you mentioned, he is extremely sharp. He's an intelligent person, but everybody has a learning curve. And but I will say playing the amount of snaps he's played, he was very well coached and played at a high level. So I think that there's going to be maybe a little bit less of a learning curve for him coming in.
And then things, of course, are quicker on the inside.
Exactly right. He playing out at the tackle position. You have a little bit more time and distance there between him and the quarterback. And ultimately, when you do slide inside, man, things definitely happen faster, especially if you have to snap as well. So those are things we're going to have to wait and see on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, you too.